Jedi Initiates, or better known as Jedi Younglings, were the youngest recruits of the Jedi Order. Using blood tests to measure midichlorian counts, the Jedi identified Force-sensitive younglings from various species across the galaxy. Once their Force sensitivity was confirmed, these infants, or more commonly young children, were brought to the Jedi creche at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, where they lived until selected to become Padawans. The Jedi Order believed that Force-sensitive children had a right to the best education available, ensuring their protection and helping them master their abilities. Without proper training, these children could unintentionally harm themselves or their communities, and succumb to the dark side. The Jedi began training at a young age to instill the philosophy of non-attachment, and in some cases, to prevent children from being influenced by inherited status, wealth, or fame, which were all factors that might lead them to reject the Jedi's humble way of life. The recruitment methods of the Jedi Order were sometimes criticized, with some accusing the Jedi of brainwashing or kidnapping children. These claims, the Jedi argued, stemmed from ignorance. Under Republic law, the Jedi had the right to bring Force-sensitive children to their temples, but standard protocol required obtaining parental permission. In rare cases, when a child's safety or that of their community was at risk, the Jedi would act against parental wishes to ensure protection of the Force-sensitive child. Upon entering the clan, initiates began their foundational training in the Jedi Academy. Their day included morning rituals focused on Force studies, midday classes in political science and galactic history, and afternoon physical training to ensure peak physical condition. 5 daily meditation sessions were mandatory, promoting discipline and focus. Each student's education began with the Jedi Code and the 3 pillars: the Force, knowledge, and self-discipline. These principles served as the foundation for their lives as Jedi. Initiates were provided the Jedi Path, a manual for students of the Force, to guide their learning, and were required to familiarize themselves with the temple's layout and the histories of Jedi memorialized there. Younglings also began their basic training in the Jedi arts, including lightsaber combat using low-powered training sabers and deflecting blaster shots fired by non-lethal droids. Within their clans, initiates developed close bonds, viewing each other as family while practicing and studying together. Their Force training began with lessons in control, a discipline requiring self-mastery. Though not thrilling, these abilities were essential for future growth, enabling Jedi to extend their lifespan and stave off illness. Initiates had to excel in their foundational studies before progressing to lightsaber training. One of the more significant milestones in their journey was constructing a genuine lightsaber. This process began with acquiring a kyber crystal in an event known as the Gathering. This ancient tradition required younglings to travel to Elam, a sacred world in the unknown regions. Guided by the Force, they located their unique crystals in the planet's Crystal Cave. With their crystals in hand, younglings assembled their lightsabers. The responsibility of teaching younglings the intricate art of lightsaber construction fell to Huyang, an architect droid professor. With a history spanning thousands of generations, Huyang personally guided countless younglings, including the once young Yoda, through the process of crafting their lightsabers. Students then faced the Initiate Trials, the final step in their journey as youngling. The trials marked the culmination of an Initiate's Academy training. These tests assessed knowledge of the Jedi Code, meditation proficiency, dueling technique, and Force mastery. While all Initiates were required to take the trials, not everyone passed. Those who succeeded advanced to Padawan training, but for those who did not, the Reassignment Council placed them in the Jedi Service Corps. There, they continued serving the Order through non-combat roles that utilized their unique skills. For some, the Jedi path ended here. If deemed unfit for Jedi life by the High Council or through personal decision, students could leave the Order. Many used the skills they had acquired to pursue civilian roles, contributing to galactic society in meaningful ways. This rigorous process ensured that every student, regardless of their final path, could make a positive impact in the galaxy. Jedi Padawans were apprentices who continued their training under the guidance of a single Jedi Knight or Master. Throughout Jedi history, the process of selecting Padawans evolved to reflect the state of the Jedi Academy. To facilitate the selection process, the Jedi Temple on Coruscant held annual tournaments where initiates who had passed their trials demonstrated their abilities in lightsaber combat and the Force. Jedi Masters visiting the temple also relied on instructor recommendations to identify potential Padawans with strong academic and combat skills. Occasionally, a master might form a personal bond with an initiate and request them as an apprentice. If the initiate agreed, the arrangement was validated by the Jedi Council. While the Council typically did not intervene in the selection process, a seer's prophecy could lead them to assign a student to fulfill a specific destiny. Once a master selected an initiate and the initiate agreed, they entered a sacred ritual. Retiring to the temple chapel, the initiate meditated and communed with the Force, preparing themselves for their new path. Afterward, they stood before the Council with their new master and pledged service to the Order, the Force, the Republic, and their teacher. As a Padawan, they accompanied their master on missions, learning through experience and personal guidance. This marked a significant transition from life at the temple to practical training in the galaxy. Padawans also continued academic studies at the temple on a more flexible schedule, allowing time for specialized classes or solo assignments if their master was engaged in other duties. Padawans advanced their Force training by focusing on Sense, a discipline building on the foundational skills of control. Through Sense, Padawans deepened their connection to the living Force, using it as an additional perception to aid them in their tasks. Padawans shared their master's duties, ranging from diplomatic missions to dangerous confrontations. Some assignments required specialized expertise, such as recovering Sith artifacts or aiding the Jedi Service Corps in humanitarian efforts, exploration, or public service. When a master believed they had imparted all their knowledge, they notified the High Council to arrange the Jedi trials. Held in a specialized chamber within the temple, these trials tested the Padawan's knowledge of the Jedi Code, meditation techniques, combat skills, and mastery of the Force. Successful candidates spent a night meditating in the Tranquility Spire before their ascension ceremony. In the Hall of Knighthood, the Grandmaster raised the Padawan to the rank of Knight, severing their Padawan braid in a ceremonial gesture. Although it was rare, some Padawans did fail the Jedi trials. For those who failed, options included retaking the trials, joining the Service Corps, or remaining with the Order as instructors, engineers, or other non-mission roles. After a decade or more of rigorous one-on-one instruction under a Jedi Master, Padawans were expected to pass the Jedi trials to be elevated to the rank of Jedi Knight. This prestigious promotion, typically granted by the High Council, marked the Padawans' independence from their master and the beginning of a new chapter as guardians of peace and justice. In rare instances, such as times of crisis or when the Council was unreachable, exceptions to this rule were made to ensure the Order's needs were met. Once promoted, Jedi Knights were no longer bound to their masters and took charge of their own destinies. They were encouraged to continue studying the Force, focusing on one of three specializations in knighthood: Guardian, Consular, or Sentinel. Each path allowed Knights to refine their skills and apply their unique strengths to missions assigned by the Jedi Council. Personally, I always liked being a Jedi Guardian. It's also the category I picked in the old Knights of the Republic game, where you finally got promoted, but more on these three categories later. As independent agents of the Jedi Order, Knights upheld its public image while traveling across the galaxy, seeking to bring justice and aid to those in need. This period of independence also marked a Knight's deeper study of the Force. Knights who desired to pass their knowledge to the next generation could attend tournaments at the temple, where prospective Padawans demonstrated their abilities in combat and Force mastery. The Jedi Order cautioned against selecting an apprentice solely out of obligation, as mismatched partnerships could hinder a Padawan's development. Deep meditation and careful consideration were vital before accepting the responsibility of mentorship. While many Knights embraced this role, others chose not to, either due to a lack of connection with available trainees or because they did not wish to take on the demanding commitment. Knights who successfully guided a Padawan to knighthood were considered for promotion to Jedi Master by the High Council. This elevation was not guaranteed, as the Council required candidates to demonstrate exceptional knowledge of the Force and mastery of their craft. Some Knights were promoted later in life, while a majority never advanced, remaining Knights due to the Force leading them down a different path. Only Masters were eligible to sit on the Jedi Councils, though one Knight famously served temporarily, but wasn't granted the rank of Master due to his lack of emotional control.
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
Jedi Masters were among the most respected members of the Jedi Order, having proven their exceptional skill, wisdom, and devotion to the Force. The rank of Jedi Master was one of the highest honors in the Jedi Order, reserved for a select few Jedi Knights in each generation. Jedi Masters constituted the smallest percentage of the Order's membership, reflecting the difficulty and significance of achieving this rank. The most traditional path to becoming a Jedi Master involved training and elevating multiple Padawans to the rank of Jedi Knight, ensuring each successfully passed their Jedi trials. Alternatively, Jedi Knights could undertake a modified version of the trials of knighthood or distinguish themselves through extraordinary service to the Republic. Exceptional achievements in these areas often garnered the recognition of the Jedi High Council, resulting in promotion. The most accomplished Jedi Masters were often invited to join one of the Jedi Councils. Membership was not determined solely by combat prowess or force abilities, but by wisdom, insight, and specialized knowledge. Council members played a vital role in the Order, offering guidance, resolving disputes, and training initiates in the temple or at satellite facilities. Although some Jedi Masters, such as Qui-Gon Jinn, possessed exceptional skill and knowledge, their unconventional views occasionally barred them from Council membership. Qui-Gon Jinn, for example, was considered too radical by many of his peers despite his remarkable contributions to the Order. Certain areas within the Jedi Temple on Coruscant were accessible only to Jedi Masters. These included the Holocron Vaults in the Jedi Archives and the treasury beneath the High Council Chamber. These measures ensured that dangerous artifacts, such as Sith holocrons, remained secure and out of the wrong hands. Jedi Masters bore immense responsibility, whether preserving the Order's most valuable knowledge, guiding its future through mentorship and council service, or embodying its ideals as leaders and protectors. This revered rank stood as a testament to the dedication, wisdom, and mastery required to uphold the Jedi Order's principles across generations. The High Council, consisting of 12 members, was the ultimate authority within the Jedi Order. Members were appointed through unanimous votes, and decisions were traditionally reached through mutual contemplation with the Force. Although fierce debates and voting did become more common during the Clone Wars. The Council oversaw the promotion of Jedi Knights and coordinated with smaller councils to manage satellite academies across the galaxy during the time of the Old Republic. These regional councils, such as those on Dantooine, Telos, and Almas, ensured oversight in areas far removed from Coruscant. Members of the High Council occasionally served on these smaller bodies, strengthening ties between the Central Order and its distant enclaves. The Council was divided into 3 tiers. Firstly, lifetime members, which were 5 Jedi Masters who held their seats indefinitely. Secondly, long-term members, which were 4 Masters serving extended but finite terms. And thirdly, limited-term members, which 3 Jedi who served shorter, rotating terms to provide diverse perspectives. The Council convened regularly within the Jedi Temple on Coruscant to discuss matters of galactic importance, resolve disputes within the Order, and oversee significant decisions, such as the approval of Jedi missions. Their decisions often shaped the course of the galaxy, especially during times of crisis like the Clone Wars. I've already made a video explaining all the Clone Wars-era Jedi Council members here, so go check it out. The Master of the Order was elected by unanimous vote of all members of the Council as the leader of the Jedi High Council. While the Council collectively made the critical decisions, the Master of the Order often was responsible for engaging with Jedi Knights, politicians, and leaders from various systems. In informal settings and casual meetings, they discussed ideas, addressed concerns, and facilitated dialogue to support the Order's mission. Mace Windu held this title up to the First Battle of Geonosis, but stepped down to take on a more active combat role as a senior Jedi General. The position then passed to Yoda, who already held the title of Jedi Grandmaster, making him the de facto leader of the entire Order during one of its most challenging periods. The title of Grandmaster, a position of immense honor and responsibility, existed throughout much of the Jedi Order's history. Representing the elected leader of the entire Order, the Grandmaster was chosen through a unanimous vote by the Jedi High Council. This title was reserved for the most exceptional and wise Jedi Masters. The Grandmaster title was typically held for life or until voluntarily relinquished, and he acted as the voice of the Jedi High Council, representing its will and intentions in dealings with Republic politicians and military leaders. Within the Council, the Grandmaster served as a decisive figure, offering final judgments in cases of deadlock and guiding the Order's direction. They also provided leadership and inspiration to all Jedi, embodying the ideals of the Order. By the time of the invasion of Naboo, approximately 2 centuries after the Great Hyperspace Disaster, Yoda was the holder of the Grandmaster title. Renowned for his 8 centuries of service and mentorship, Yoda guided generations of Jedi and continued to lead the Order through the turbulent Clone Wars. Despite his steady leadership, some, like Ki-Adi-Mundi, expressed concern about Yoda's state of mind during the Clone Wars, particularly regarding his former Padawan Count Dooku's fall to the dark side. However, Obi-Wan Kenobi defended Yoda, pointing out that nearly every Jedi has been apprenticed to him at some point, absolving him of responsibility for Dooku's actions. Yoda being the Grandmaster in the final stand of the Jedi Order against Sidious, who's the embodiment of the Sith philosophy, shows how symbolic that duel really was, as Yoda not being able to beat Sidious symbolized the loss of the embodiment of the Jedi against the embodiment of the Sith. Truly poetic. Jedi Commanders were Padawans who served in the Grand Army of the Republic during the Clone Wars as commanders. A Jedi Commander held authority over all clones except for Clone Commanders, and were mostly the second in command alongside the regiment's Clone Commanders. The Clone Troopers under the command carried out commands from their Jedi Commanders with the same discipline and obedience they showed toward their Jedi Generals, despite the Jedi Commander's relatively young age. Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, Ahsoka Tano, exemplified the rank of Jedi Commander, earning the respect of her troops and showcasing how, despite her young age, her leadership truly left a mark on the 501st Legion she fought alongside. This was most evident during the Siege of Mandalore, where a section of the 501st painted their armor orange in honor of her. Jedi Generals were Jedi Knights or Masters who commanded larger units within the Grand Army of the Republic. During the First Battle of Geonosis, the Jedi held no formal military rank within the newly formed Grand Army of the Republic. Despite this, high-ranking Jedi acted as de facto generals, commanding more than 80 regiments of clone troopers during the battle. Following the Republic's victory on Geonosis, the Jedi continued to serve in leadership roles within the Grand Army, with Jedi Masters and Knights acting as high-ranking officers. However, their positions remained informal. The term general was then used by clone troopers who were unclear about the Jedi's role in military affairs, but respected their leadership. This at first informal title gained recognition and respect from other Republic officials. A few weeks into the Clone Wars, the Jedi Military Integration Act was passed, officially designating Jedi Knights and Masters as Jedi Generals within the Grand Army of the Republic. Padawans, in turn, were assigned the rank of Jedi Commander. This legislation formalized the Jedi's military role. They led entire brigades or divisions of clone troopers, and as leaders on the front lines, Jedi Generals were responsible for strategic planning, engaging in direct combat, and ensuring the morale and well-being of their troops. Some Jedi Generals, such as Anakin Skywalker, became legendary figures during the Clone Wars for their heroics and skill in battle. Despite their martial role, Jedi Generals often sought to minimize unnecessary conflict and loss of life, reflecting the Order's core values of peace and justice even amidst the chaos of war. Well, except for one particular Jedi General. The rank of Senior Jedi General was reserved for Jedi who held command over one of the 20 sector armies within the Grand Army of the Republic. Each sector army consisted of tens of thousands of clone troopers. Senior Jedi Generals often had decades of experience and were adept at both battlefield strategy and large-scale logistics. Jedi holding this rank worked closely with Republic fleet commanders and other high-ranking military officials to coordinate the efforts of their sector armies across vast territories. A notable Jedi to hold this rank was Luminara Unduli. High Jedi Generals were the highest-ranking military leaders within the Jedi Order, commanding one of the 10 system armies of the Republic. Each system army was composed of 2 sector armies, placing millions of clone troopers under their command. Only members of the Jedi High Council were eligible for this rank. High Jedi Generals were at the forefront of the Republic's war effort, often directing campaigns that spanned entire star systems. Their responsibilities included managing large-scale offensives, overseeing fleet movements, and coordinating with other branches of the Republic military. Jedi such as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Shaak Ti, and Mace Windu served as High Jedi Generals during the Clone Wars. The Jedi Battle Master was a prestigious title awarded to the lightsaber combat instructor of the Jedi Order, responsible for overseeing all lightsaber training at the Jedi Temple. For generations, there was only one Battle Master at a time, responsible for leading the Order's training in the art of the blade. Appointed by the Jedi High Council, the Battle Master was an unparalleled duelist, mastering all 7 forms of lightsaber combat. They trained Jedi Knights, Padawans, and Temple Guards, ensuring the Order's martial traditions were preserved and passed down. During the Great Galactic War, the title of Battle Master was awarded to Kal Sindarak. Yes, the Kal Sindarak that had the epic duel versus Malgus and Vindican in the Old Republic cinematic trailer, before being beaten by Malgus. The title was then reassigned by the Jedi High Council. By the final days of the Republic, Jedi Master Sindralig led the Jedi Temple's training in lightsaber combat, earning a reputation for mentoring exceptional swordsmen such as Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. The position of Battlemaster came to an abrupt end when Sindralig was killed during Operation Nightfall at the hands of his former student, Darth Vader. Dralig heroically defended a group of younglings before being bested in a duel by Vader, making the list of Jedis with a heroic last stand. The title of Caretaker of First Knowledge referred to the leader of the Council of First Knowledge, a governing body within the Jedi Order responsible for safeguarding and advancing its intellectual and spiritual traditions. The Caretaker oversaw the Jedi Academy on Coruscant as well as its satellite facilities, ensuring that the curriculum reflected the Order's values and teachings, so that young Jedi were trained in the history, philosophy, and ethics of the Jedi Order. Additionally, the Caretaker was tasked with protecting the Jedi archives and the holocron vaults housed deep within the Jedi Temple. Their responsibilities included not only preserving Jedi teachings, but also monitoring potentially dangerous knowledge, such as Sith artifacts and holocrons. A Jedi Guardian was one of the three primary branches of the Jedi Order, alongside the Jedi Consular and Jedi Sentinel. Guardians were renowned for their combat prowess and martial skills, serving as the light side counterpart to the Sith warrior. They were primarily focused on martial training and combat and engaged in battle more frequently than either Jedi Consulars or Sentinels. The Jedi Guardians' lineage can be traced back to the Order's founders on Tython, who were tasked with defending the weak and upholding the laws of the Galactic Republic. Guardians were often seen as the quintessential representatives of the Jedi Order, wielding the lightsaber as both a weapon and a symbol of justice. Jedi Knights pursuing the path of the Guardian dedicated significant time to perfecting their martial abilities. Many chose to construct their lightsabers with blue crystals, which came to symbolize unity and solidarity among their ranks, though this was not a requirement to be a Guardian. Within the Guardian class, the most skilled and accomplished Jedi Masters were honored with the title of Warrior Master. It is said that 2 Warrior Masters joined forces with 2 Sage Masters to establish the Jedi Temple on Coruscant around 4000 BBY. These 4 Masters were immortalized with bronzium statues on the stairs leading to the temple's main entrance. And let's be honest, being a Jedi Guardian is like picking Gryffindor in Harry Potter. It's the mainstream pick. That's why it's my pick in the old games, and I wish they'd reintroduce the 3 stages of knighthood again into canon. Let me know which one you'd like. Jedi Aces were a unique subset of Jedi Guardians who specialized in starfighter combat. They flew on instinct and a deep trust in the Force. Jedi Aces often secured victory in battle through a unique connection known as a Force meld. This powerful Force technique bound the minds of multiple individuals together, allowing them to coordinate their movements and attacks. Additionally, Jedi skills and battle meditation frequently assisted Aces, turning their squadrons into extensions of the Coordinator's strategy, seamlessly executing complex battle plans. Some Jedi Aces took their use of the Force even further, enhancing their reflexes, spatial awareness, and piloting skills to become one with their starships. Others employed the Force to influence their opponents, disrupting their focus or causing confusion in the heat of combat. Luke Skywalker once used this technique during a dogfight against Imperial forces, successfully outmaneuvering his enemies. However, the experience left him questioning the morality of the act, wondering if such a manipulation bordered too closely on the dark side of the Force. Plo Koon was also a prominent Jedi ace, known for his exceptional skill in the cockpit. The art of lightsaber instruction was a hallmark of Jedi Guardians, who often earned their expertise on the battlefield. Guardians who mastered all 7 forms of lightsaber combat were eligible to teach, but only after proving their mastery through several tests and missions. All lightsaber instructors were Jedi Masters, personally recommended for the position by the standing Battle Master. These instructors guided students through the intricacies of lightsaber combat, teaching the fundamentals of Form 1 through Form 6. Peacekeepers were the most common branch of Jedi Guardians and specialized in working closely with local governments and law enforcement agencies to maintain stability and order. Rather than focusing solely on combat, Peacekeepers combined their physical skills with diplomacy, serving as mediators. They operated in regions plagued by crime, unrest, or political instability, often apprehending dangerous criminals, or resolving conflicts peacefully whenever possible. Weapons Masters were Jedi Guardians who dedicated their lives to perfecting the art of combat, often specializing in exotic or unconventional weapons beyond the standard lightsaber. They were experts in wielding weapons such as light whips and dual sabers, adapting their fighting style to match their chosen tools. Jedi Consulars are the second of the three primary branches of Jedi specialization. What Jedi Guardians achieve through combat, Jedi Consulars accomplish through diplomacy, wisdom, and the non-violent use of the Force. Focusing on mental refinement through study and meditation, Consulars sought to master the arts of diplomacy and mediation. Their goal was to de-escalate tense situations, heal emotional wounds, and resolve conflicts through civil discourse and reasoning rather than resorting to violence. Though Consulars strove to avoid conflict whenever possible, they were pragmatic and carried lightsabers, often with green blades. While their primary focus was on non-violent methods, Jedi Consulars were highly skilled in using the Force against their adversaries. Additionally, some Consulars demonstrated combat skills that were equal to their Guardian counterparts if it was deemed necessary. While many Consulars served as diplomats, others pursued diverse paths, including those of teachers, healers, and seers. Each of these roles reflected the Consular's commitment to using the Force to nurture, enlighten, and protect. Within the Consular class, the most skilled and knowledgeable Jedi Masters were honored with the title of Sage Master. These revered figures exemplified the Consular philosophy and were often consulted for their wisdom. 2 Sage Masters were immortalized with bronzium statues placed at the main entrance stairs of the temple, marking their legacy as founders of the Jedi Order's spiritual home. Ambassadors were Jedi Consulars who worked closely with the Galactic Republic's political leaders to establish diplomatic relations with unaligned planets and governments. They acted as emissaries of the Jedi Order, building alliances and negotiating agreements to bring stability to troubled regions. Diplomats were specialized consulars who represented the Jedi Order and the Republic in negotiations. While ambassadors of the Jedi Order focused on mediating discussions between the Republic and foreign states, diplomats took on a more complex responsibility, such as drafting treaties and resolving intricate political disputes. Healers were Jedi Consulars drawn to the specialization by their deep compassion for others and their commitment to curing the sick and halting the spread of disease. Jedi healers employed the Force to enhance the natural healing process of living beings, accelerating recovery and repairing wounds. Guided by the circle of Jedi healers, these Jedi focused on harnessing the living Force to preserve life and cleanse the body of impurities and injuries. Many healers worked within the Jedi Temple's medical facilities or traveled to war-torn regions to provide aid to civilians and soldiers alike. Lorekeepers were Jedi Consulars dedicated to preserving and expanding the Order's vast repository of knowledge. They were entrusted with maintaining the Jedi archives, which contained records of galactic history, the Force, Sith artifacts, and more. They were dedicated to preserving and expanding the vast knowledge of the Jedi, often serving as archivists, historians, and librarians. The Chief Librarian, the highest-ranking Lorekeeper, oversaw the archives. During the Clone Wars, Jocasta Nu served as the Chief Librarian, dedicating her life to curating the galaxy's knowledge. Researchers were Jedi Consulars who chose to focus their talents on the scientific and academic study of the galaxy. They specialized in areas such as archaeology, biology, astronomy, and engineering to deepen the Jedi Order's understanding of the universe. Researchers often collaborated with Lorekeepers to update the Jedi archives and undertook expeditions to explore uncharted territories or uncover long-lost knowledge. Seers were Jedi Consulars gifted with exceptional foresight, using the Force to perceive potential futures. Seers often worked with the Jedi High Council, sharing their visions to influence decisions on critical matters. The most attuned Seers were known as prophets, responsible for interpreting the will of the Force and shaping the Order's long-term direction. Notable prophecies, such as the Chosen Ones, had originated from the efforts of Jedi Seers. Jedi Sentinels were the rarest of the 3 primary Jedi specializations. Sentinels often address community-level issues rather than pursuing larger political or military objectives. Their work frequently involves solving small-scale problems, acting as private investigators, scouts, or even stepping into vigilante roles to combat corruption and injustice, particularly in areas plagued by compromised law enforcement. Their work made them some of the most recognized Jedi in the galaxy, respected for their accessibility and willingness to address everyday concerns. Compared to Guardians and Consulars, Jedi Sentinels were more of a mix between the Guardians' focus on combat and the Consulars' philosophical views, trying to blend the best of both paths. While they were not as heavily focused on combat as Guardians, Sentinels were still formidable fighters and were quick to learn new fighting styles, and even embraced alternative weaponry, including blasters and projectile weapons. Although they were deeply connected to the Force, they acknowledged its limitations, blending Force-based training with mental conditioning to develop abilities like Force resistance. This skill enabled them to resist mental influences and Force-based attacks more effectively than other Jedi. Distinctive for their rare use of yellow-bladed lightsabers, Sentinels didn't use titles like Sage or Warrior Masters. One of the most notable Jedi Sentinels in history was Bastila Shan, who, despite being a Padawan, had mastered the ancient art of battle meditation. Jedi Investigators were a branch of Sentinels tasked by the Jedi High Council with uncovering hidden threats to the Republic and the Order. They specialized in dismantling criminal syndicates, uncovering conspiracies, and exposing corruption within the Senate or Republic institutions. Jedi Recruiters were also mostly Jedi Sentinels that went into the galaxy to seek out Force-sensitive individuals. They assessed these individuals, often young children, to determine if they were suitable candidates for Jedi training. Jedi Shadows were Sentinels dedicated to eradicating all traces of the dark side. They were highly trained Sentinels dispatched on secret missions to locate and destroy Sith artifacts, dark side practitioners, and remnants of Sith influence. Their work often required them to travel extensively and remain under cover for long periods. In their pursuit of the dark side, the Shadows were permitted to study and even wield certain dark side force powers, a practice typically forbidden to other Jedi. Jedi Watchmen were Sentinels assigned to oversee specific systems or sectors of the galaxy. Their role combined diplomacy and cultural understanding, allowing them to act as the Jedi's presence in regions far from the core worlds. The Temple Guards represented an ancient and revered tradition within Jedi history, embodying the highest ideals of duty and loyalty to the Order. Selected from the ranks of Jedi Knights, these individuals took on the solemn role of anonymous Sentinels as part of their lifelong commitment to safeguarding the Jedi Temple. Clad in ceremonial robes and concealing their identities behind featureless masks, Temple Guards relinquished personal ambition and individuality, embracing a life of unwavering service. Their anonymity and detachment symbolized their dedication to the Order's principles, as they stood as enforcers of justice and protectors of the sacred halls of the Jedi Temple. They also prominently wielded extremely rare yellow double-bladed lightsaber and reported directly to the Jedi Battlemaster. The guards were often also seen escorting high-profile prisoners and protecting sacred areas like the Jedi Archives. One prominent Temple Guard whose identity was later revealed is the Grand Inquisitor introduced in Rebels. He was also present during Ahsoka's trial, and through that got disillusioned with the Jedi and fell to the dark side, with the rise of the Empire. And let's be honest, they are the best-looking Jedi armor design out there. The Gatemaster was a unique role within the Jedi Temple, responsible for security around the Temple's four main entrances. By day, this role involved appointing Padawan guards to monitor and manage access. At night, the Gatemaster assigned Jedi Knights from the Temple Security Force to take over. He ensured that only authorized individuals gained access to the Temple's sacred grounds and acted as the first line of defense. During Order 66, Gatemaster Jurak was the first Jedi to fall when Anakin Skywalker and the 501st Legion launched their assault on the Temple, being stabbed through the head by Anakin. Jedi Snipers were specialized Sentinels who were stationed at strategic high points around the Jedi Temple. They used their lightsabers as long-range weapons, throwing them at potential incoming enemies and guiding them with the Force in a sniper-esque fashion. They were one of the four categories of Temple security forces, and alongside the Brute and the Gatemaster, acted as a first line of defense. Jedi Brutes were the first line of defense against hostile forces attempting to breach the Jedi Temple. Stationed within the Temple precinct, these Brutes were physically imposing figures and used double-bladed lightsabers. Unlike their counterparts, such as snipers, who engaged targets from a distance, Temple Brutes confronted danger head-on. The Paladin was an informal specialization sometimes used to describe Jedi Knights who have mastered all traits of the Guardian, Consular, and Sentinel paths. However, the term wasn't an official category. There were also the Grey Paladins, who had the rather radical philosophy to depend as little as possible on the Force, although they weren't part of the Jedi and rather were a small splinter group. The Jedi Service Corps was a branch of the Jedi Order designed to give purpose to Jedi Younglings and Padawans who were unable to complete their training or those who chose to serve the Republic in non-combative roles. It was overseen by the Council of Reassignment and allowed its members to continue contributing to the galaxy while still embracing the values of the Jedi Order. The Service Corps was divided into four specialized branches. The Agricultural Corps focused on using the Force to promote growth, heal damaged ecosystems, and ensure food security across the galaxy. Jedi in the Agri-Corps often work in rural or war-torn areas, helping to revive farmlands, restore biodiversity, and aid planets facing famine. Their ability to connect with the living force allowed them to bring life to barren worlds and ensure the prosperity of agricultural systems essential for the survival of countless civilizations. The Medical Corps consisted of Jedi dedicated to healing and medical assistance. Members of the Medicorps use their Force abilities to mend injuries, cure diseases, and provide humanitarian aid in disaster zones and battlefields. The Educational Corps focused on spreading knowledge and assisting with the intellectual development of others. Jedi in the Edu-Corps often served as teachers, librarians, or archivists, preserving and sharing the Order's vast collection of wisdom. They also worked on projects aimed at improving galactic literacy and education, ensuring that learning reached even the most remote corners of the Republic. The Exploration Corps consisted of Jedi tasked with exploring the uncharted regions of the galaxy. These individuals ventured into the unknown to map new star systems, study alien civilizations, and uncover lost knowledge. And that's it, all the different paths and ranks you could get as a Jedi. Let me know which path you see yourself in, and till next time.